I'd like to welcome Miss Peggy Firtion, Mrs. Peggy Firtion, a former educator and a true friend of the library. Peg, could you please share your story of the Secaucus Public Library, and especially about those Sunday visits you used to make to the Plaza Center Library?
Quite a few years ago, a friend and I, Janet Rosansky, who's from Secaucus, were taking some graduate courses. And one of the courses we were taking was children's literature. And we had to review 50 children's books. And just on an index card, give our review of that book. And Janet at that time was teaching kindergarten at Huber Street School. And we were in the middle of a building process, and there was no room for one of the kindergartens. So she taught kindergarten in the library, and she had a key to the building. So on Sunday, we would go down there and get all these children's books, spread them out on these tables, and read them and write our little reports. And we did that several Sundays, but it was wonderful just having all of that right at our fingertips. And nobody was there on a Sunday because the library was not open at that time 7 days a week. So we just had the whole building to ourselves and all those wonderful books. And there were lots of very good children's books there. Today the children's section is even larger and is used by lots and lots of children. But that was a fun time to be using the library. It's extremely helpful for us and convenient.
You're one of the few that has ever been in the library when it's closed. I used to love to be here when the library was closed. I teased the staff and said I used to dance with Shakespeare at night, and they thought I was nuts. But isn't it a beautiful feeling?
It's a beautiful feeling, but it's also a little spooky feeling, like being in a church when no one else is there.
That's true.
Being in the library when no one else is there. It's a little spooky, but it's also exciting to be there by yourself.
Certainly is. I know you attended many meetings and many functions at the library, both at Plaza Center and here in this new library. Could you tell us about some of the meetings of interest to you?
My husband and I attended a meeting here that was given by a whole group of people here in town, lawyers and people who knew a great deal about insurance and making wills and all of that, and we got a great deal of information and actually became customers of the lawyer who was doing one of the presentations, but learned a great many things that we didn't know about what we should be doing at our age, and so that was very, very helpful. I also attended a meeting where my brother-in-law, Charlie, spoke about his experiences during World War II. And that was interesting because we had gone with him on many of his reunions with, I think it was the 504th Bomb Squadron, but he had many stories about being in the Air Force during World War II and the bombing raids over Tokyo and Japan. So he was very interesting. And then I attended a meeting where an author came and told us all about his book. And he was from New Jersey, and the book was about a baseball team in South Jersey. And it was very interesting, and we all got copies of his book and a baseball autographed by him. And it was a book we probably never would have known anything about. So that was another meeting. And then I also attended several meetings about Alzheimer's here because that became a family problem, and got a great deal of information, very helpful information. And later, I happened to attend 2 workshops at Christ Hospital, and they were given by the same young lady who had given the workshop here in Secaucus. And it was also a way of getting to know several people who were sharing the same problems that you were sharing.
Right. That's wonderful. So it's serving its purpose as the informational center, educational, recreational. We do it all, but it's nice to know that people appreciate those meetings.
Oh, they're so helpful. And I've actually been in a meeting here that was for the Alzheimer's support group, where people were sharing stories and getting information. And that was a small group of people, but a real sharing experience too.
Now I'm going to ask you a question that's dear to your heart. Shortly after the Friends of the Library was formed, and I know you're an active member of that group, I requested help to facilitate a book group, a book club. Please tell us about that club, how it started, how it is today, present day activities, and even some offshoots of the original book club.
Well, originally, Edna Mondadori and I kind of started it with, as kind of co-leaders. Anyway, and Edna no longer attends because she's in a nursing home now. But I think we started out with about 6 or 8 people, all women except for one man. And we let him choose the first book. And he chose The Prince by Machiavelli, which was a very difficult read and not very popular with most of the ladies. And the discussion of the book was so dramatic because there were people there who were political liberals and political conservatives who disagreed about so many things that at the end of the meeting, one of our ladies said, "I was really getting concerned we were going to come to blows."
Oh, I recall that meeting.
Right. But anyway, it has lasted, I guess, almost 10 years now, the book club. And we have 12 or 13 people, which is just a very nice size because everybody gets to talk. And some of the ladies even wish we would meet 2 times a week. 2 times a month, I should say. But that's pushing it for a lot of people who have many other things that they have to do. But we are the afternoon book club, and we haven't stopped. We do not meet in July and August, but we meet September through June on the second Monday of the month at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And we've read a real variety of books, some biographies, but most of them are probably novels. And once again, it's mostly women, but we do have a man in our group who is a very involved person, has wonderful insights into whatever he has read, and he actually has written several books.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, and someday we hope that there will be enough of his books published that we can read one of them. But the last book we read was Loving Frank, which was about Frank Lloyd Wright. And the one just before that was I Am Pilgrim, which is my current favorite. I probably have had many favorites through the years, but that was such an exciting book. And all but one person thought it was marvelous. And the group discussion sometimes is so lively that someone will come and shut the door because we're making too much noise. On one occasion, we read a book, and then they made a movie of it, and we went to see the movie. That was quite a while ago, and I think the name of the book was Divine Secrets of the Yaya Sisterhood.
Oh.
And we all went to see the movie, and then went for coffee afterwards at the diner, which at that time was in the center of town. and we all decided we liked the book a lot better than we liked the movie. And we have read a couple of books that later a movie has been shown here at the library. I haven't gone to the movies too often, but one that we read was The Girl with the Pearl Earring, and then that movie was shown.
Mm-hmm.
So that was wonderful, and people enjoy that too.
And what about the offshoots? I know there was an evening book discussion group.
Yes, there was, and they have kind of been in existence for a while and then not. So right now, I think they may be in existence again, and they're made up of people who are working during the day, basically. So I think it's a little bit more difficult for them to get together because they have such busy schedules after their workday is over that their membership has varied from time to time.
They're fortunate if they get time to read a book, never
That's
mind
right.
go and discuss it. As a former educator and one who has masterfully used your library card throughout the years, and please give us your thoughts about the libraries of the future. What do you see as the library of the future?
Well, I think this is kind of a start into the future. This library itself, there is access to the library 7 days a week from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. And lots of movies are available here. There's a wonderful section here for children, and I hope libraries in the future will be more welcoming like this is. My first library experiences were as a little girl in a little library on Zabriskie Street in Jersey City, where I grew up. And all I remember about that library was someone saying, shh, shh. And here, like, people are encouraged to be active and involved, not just in discussion groups, but with the children and the movies on Tuesday, and just reaching out to involve people in a variety of kinds of activities. And hopefully all libraries will get to be that way.
I think you're right. I think libraries are becoming the community center, but it's good people like you who make it welcome. I couldn't wait to join the book club, and I lasted about a week, and I can't read your books as quickly as others because I have so many other ventures going on. But I know I'll be back.
Well, one thing I found out was that the library will provide a whole list of discussion questions.
Yes.
They're on the computer with that kind of program. In the beginning, when we first started, I used to make up the questions. I did that for a few months, and it was not easy to do. And sometimes you've read the book several weeks before your meeting, and you have to almost go back and read them again. And then someone mentioned getting the questions right here in the library, and there were always wonderful questions. And then there also is a little guide that comes out every year to libraries, and it's a book of recommendations for book club discussions. And a lot of people would like to read the very latest book, but those books are in such demand all over this area that it's impossible to get enough for a whole group to read.
That's exactly right. My book discussion group that I belong to goes to a dinner, and we have a dinner out. That's about the time of the day I stop. But we're all buying books.
Mm-hmm.
We're buying them for Kindles or whichever. And that's unfortunate. And I keep telling them, try and pick something from a few years back. But the library is accommodating, and I can't thank you enough, Peggy, because you represent volunteerism at its finest. You've volunteered for so many activities at the library and for the library. And when people ask me, what do I remember most? I believe it's the people like you. And we thank you so much for your time, your effort, your expertise many times, and for this segment of the history.
Well, the library has been so welcoming to all of us that everybody who comes seems to feel so comfortable here, whether they're in a book club discussion or whether they're just picking up books to take home to read, or whether they're doing a little research and sitting at one of the tables downstairs. You just feel so welcome as soon as you walk in the door, and the people at the front desk are friendly and super helpful in finding what you need, or just chatting for a while. But everyone who comes into this library feels very welcome.
Well, thank you, Peggy, for giving us your time and your talents.
You're very welcome.